America, land of the free, home of the brave. But for millions of ordinary Americans, it's become the land of impossible choices. The cost of living is skyrocketing. Wages aren't keeping up. Basic healthcare, education, and safety, things you'd expect in the richest country on earth, feel out of reach. Over 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, just one emergency away from bankruptcy. From crumbling infrastructure to unaffordable housing and third world level problems in a so-called first world country, the U.S. has become, for many, unsustainable and scary. In this video, you'll hear directly from everyday people, Americans questioning if staying here is worth it anymore, because for them, the American dream feels more like survival mode. But before we begin, make sure to leave a like so this video can reach someone who needs to see it. Maybe they need the courage to move. This video might just motivate them. And if you don't mind, please subscribe to give us a nudge in the algorithm. We're doing our part to keep Americans as informed as possible about what's happening around them.
Americans are leaving the USA because they can't afford America anymore, making $100,000 a year, yet they feel suffocated financially because the price of things keep going up. They keep printing money and the wages ain't going up, all right? Matter of fact, there's job loss and there's cuts and all kinds of stuff going on. So once people leave that kind of environment and they go somewhere else and they realize life is supposed to be lived, it's supposed to be simple, it's supposed to be much more about enjoying your health and your family and your loved ones and your purpose and all of these things, rather than spending most of your life at work. What kind of a freaking life is it if you don't do what you love? If you do what you love, cool, man, knock yourself out. I do what I love. Most people, 80-something%, don't do what they love. They don't like their job, and if they didn't have to work their job, they wouldn't work their job. So I know if you've watched this far, it's speaking to you. Maybe this is the sign you need to start doing some research to learn how to begin to devise your escape plan and live a better life. Because you know what? If what you're doing is not working, continuing to do the same thing, they call that insanity. You might want to book that flight. See you soon.
If you're thinking about leaving the US, you won't have that option long. And you might be thinking to yourself, he's saying that because, what, the Orange Goblin is going to prevent me from doing so? Indirectly, yeah. As the tariff war continues, inflation continues to increase, which means your spending power decreases. Maybe you're banking on your stocks. Well, it looks like we're in the midst of a recession, so those asset values might be going down. Remote work federally? Remote work or jobs, period, are in jeopardy. Because as corporations struggle to remain profitable as the cost of goods increases, they will always turn to layoffs as a way to keep their profits high. The point I'm trying to make is that there are subtle and not so subtle things that this presidency is really doing to keep a firm grasp on Americans, keeping them inside of this ever-going hamster wheel.
I'm Jason Whiteley. She really did it. A Fort Worth woman up and left Texas. She moved to the Netherlands, all because Donald Trump is president. Janelyn Sanchez sold off most of her belongings in Fort Worth last fall. Now, though, after several months living outside of Amsterdam, we decided to check back in with her. She says news of her leaving has sparked interest from other Texans considering the same thing. People interested in what it takes to move overseas and which countries are easiest to relocate to. Many questions people are asking. So Sanchez decided to start a business to help other people do what she did.
Wait, Jana, what is the name of this business?
It's called GTFO Tours,
What does that
GTFO
mean?
Relocation Tours. Get the F out.
Wow, your language has gotten cleaner since you've moved over to Europe.
Jana,
I don't think I'm allowed to say what the F stands for, but I think everybody gets it.
Sanchez gets into the nitty-gritty of a commitment like this, how much money it costs, what you have to file, how long it takes. Never mind politics here. This is an interesting episode if you've ever thought about living overseas.
Jason Stanley is the Yale professor that fled America to move to Canada to avoid raising his children in a fascist state.
Thank you for having me on.
So you have authored 2 books on fascism. It's a topic you spend a lot of time studying.
He was a professor of philosophy, but also social and political philosophy and action theory, and epistemology, which is the theory of knowledge, especially with regard to its methods, validity, and scope. Epistemology is the investigation of what distinguishes justified belief from opinion. Something we all could use a little more of, maybe. And this is more of his interview.
Of our democratic institutions folding. And by that, I mean not just the universities, but the media and our legal system. And I thought, well, maybe they can hold the line, but this is an opportunity. It's a great opportunity and I think the probabilities are not in the favor of U.S. democracy. This administration wants me to love my country like the National Socialists wanted Germans to love Germany. These are risky conditions. My parents are Holocaust survivors. This is something that my family has discussed. My kids are not politically ignorant. They can recognize what's going.
I'll be honest, I'm not surprised that a professor's children are smart enough to understand and recognize what's going on. But also, average children are understanding and recognizing what's going on. My 12-year-old understands and recognizes what's going on.
Americans are leaving America, and it is not for vacation. It's for survival. A growing wave of Americans are packing up, terrified by Trump's dictatorship, Republican fascism, and Democrats' capitulation. Interracial couples, LGBT plus individuals, people of color, and intelligent people in general are seeing their rights replaced with restrictions. In Ireland, US passport applications hit their highest level in a decade, up 60% in just 2 months. France is seeing long term stay visas for Americans up 20%. Portugal, Spain, UK, relocation companies can barely keep up with demand. Traffic to Blacksit Global, which helps Black Americans relocate, surged 50% after the election. Some are leaving quietly, like a trans couple in Colorado, because Trump wrongly says there are only two genders. States are moving to ban gender care, so they're planning their exit. Google searches for how to leave the US spiked after the election, and real estate deals for Americans in Spain surged before the Golden Visa program was shut down. European culture is different than American culture, and many won't adjust. And of course, Europe has its issues: immigrations, taxes. Putin expected to take Moldova and then Romania with his eyes on the rest of Europe for the new Russian Empire. But a possibility of another European war is a safer bet than staying in a country that is already a fascist dictatorship.
Something crazy is happening. Every single year, tens of thousands of Americans are packing up and they're selling their homes and they're leaving their home state behind. And here's the thing, you're not always chasing sunshine and rainbows. These people are trying to escape high costs sometimes. Maybe it's a fading job market or crime or just a lower quality of life.
What words of encouragement do you have for America's youth?
Leave.
Oh, please.
Leave. America is one big homeowners association. You can't even go to Canada because that's about to be America too. So you got to find somewhere else to go for a little while and give it a generation.
Thanks for those words.
I don't say that to be pessimistic. I say it to hopefully activate people into seeing what's going on.
You literally told the nation's youth that they should leave and flee the country.
They should. They should.
Thank you, everyone. This is Roywood Jr.
We are very, very seriously starting to consider leaving the United States, and I just want to hear from someone who's done it.
So I left the United States of America a few years ago with my wife, and I want to drop some knowledge here for you, but I'm not going to say what country I went to, how we got to this country, and things like that, and here's why. Because in this case, I don't want to promote just one country. Like, I like where I live, my wife likes it here, but there's some people that come and visit and they say, I wouldn't want to live here, but it was cool to visit. So here's the thing. You want to find what is best for you and your family, all right? But here's a few things that I can tell you, okay? One, you want a remote job, okay? Because like you might go to a country and you might live there 1 year and you go, you know what, this was cool, but we found out that we like the neighboring country better whenever we went to visit or whatever, right? So it's like with a remote job, you're just so flexible and free. Usually a decent remote job, one income, you can take your family, even if your family's a family of 4 or 5, you can take them anywhere. I have a buddy, he brought his 3 little girls that were all under the age of 12, brought them to another country on one remote income. The other thing that I want to say is be willing to learn the language and the culture. Do it with open arms, embrace the challenges, and because it's not something that you do overnight. So, you know, it requires a lot of effort. You have to study and things like that. You have to learn how to talk like a kid, but it's worth it. it. It is so worth it. Just look at it as a fun game. It's a challenging thing, kind of like some people look at a mountain and they go, I'm going to climb that mountain one day and it's going to be fun. Now, climbing mountains might not be your thing, but make learning the new language your thing. Okay, we're going to have fun. We're learning a new language. Wow, look, a couple months ago, we weren't able to communicate anything in the language, but now we can kind of get by. And just like look at your achievements, your milestones as you're learning a language. You're going to really, really love it. Embrace the new culture, embrace the differences. And that is the information that I wanted to tell you today. But also, if you're looking for a remote job or cheap rent in other countries around the world, see what we're listing every week over on our website at timetogo.international.